Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for coming to this very important meeting of the City Council as we do the people's work. At this time, council members, if you would please stand for the invocation that will be given by Pastor Billy Collins from Centennial Baptist Church, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good evening. It's a privilege and honor to be here this evening. I'm Pastor Billy Collins, a senior pastor of Centennial Baptist Church, located on 1910 Atlanta Avenue, right here in our beautiful city of Portsmouth. So let's go to Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you and praise you just for giving us an opportunity to be here this evening for such a time as this. And Lord, I pray, Lord, that your peace and power to just rest, rule, and abide over this meeting this evening and over our city. And we pray that you bless the city of Portsmouth. Bless every part of Portsmouth, Lord, from Craddock down to Churchland to Portlock to Prentice Place. Lord, I pray that your Holy Spirit move upon this city and that you bless this city, that will be the city that you want us to be. And I pray, Lord, for this meeting this evening, that it'll just be a spirit of unity, a spirit of understanding, a spirit of being on one accord, Lord, that you might be glorified, that you might smile down upon this meeting at the City Council in Portsmouth, Virginia. And I pray you bless it and bless our city. In this meeting tonight, Lord, you've placed us in positions for such a time as this, and we turn to you, Lord, just for direction, guidance, and protection. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Pastor, if you would, tell us, if you would, a little bit about your church. I'm excited every time I go. I know your connection with Old Dominion University and your wife, but very excited about some of the things you're doing in the community and in the Prentice Park neighborhood and some of your back-to-school programs. So if you would, spend a minute just sharing with us a little about your church.
Sure, thank you, Mayor Wright. Yes, our church is located right, you go down straight down Effingham and turn right on Lincoln Street. You go down about 3 blocks, and that's Atlanta Avenue where it connects. We're right on the corner. It's an old sanctuary. The edifice has been there for over 100 years, and God has been moving. I've had the pleasure and the privilege of being the pastor there for the last 2 years, and since then we've had back-to-school block parties where we've given away upwards of 300 free book bags with school supplies for the children in Prentice Park. We've had the Portsmouth police officers out there everybody can just get to know with the horses and everything, just really getting connected with the community. And that's what we do as a church at Centennial Baptist Church. Our church is it's a multicultural church, predominantly African American, and it's phenomenal. God is doing great things there. From that to also feeding, we have our Saturday afternoon feeding where we have free lunches and things of that nature, and also just being there in the community, not only to take care of those physical needs, but those spiritual needs. There's a lot of hurting people in that community that really need to know the good news of the gospel that we share and demonstrate. So it's a lot of great things, from things we're going to the children during the Halloween season. We have activities then during all throughout the year, but great things. Like I'd say, if you want to see a picture of God's grace, come to Prentice Place. Because God is doing great things. But
Thank you, Pastor.
Yes.
And if you haven't heard Pastor Billy Collins preach, you need to stop in there just one time, and you'll come back. Thank you, sir, and continue the good work. Yep.
Thank you all.
Right.
Thank you.
And in the spirit of that, the Pope is here, so I'm hoping that we'll be on our best behavior tonight. In case he gets in his hotel room and want to turn on the television and see the City Council meeting in Portsmouth, we want the Pope to know that we appreciate the Holy Father coming here, and we're going to do our best to do a great job tonight. With that, council members, if you would please indicate your presence electronically.
7 members of City Council are present.
Okay. Members of the City Council, you have before your consideration the minutes of a call meeting of September the 8th of 2015, a regular meeting of September the 8th, 2015, a call meeting of September the 14th, 2015, and a call meeting of September the 15th, 2015. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Move adoption. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically.
All right, very good.
The minutes are adopted 7-0.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 3 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 3 minutes, you will see a green light. 2 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 3 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments. Unfinished business, 15-322, use permit. Resolution granting the request of Stephen Romaine, Esquire of the law firm of LeClaire Ryan on behalf of SEJ Asset Management and Investment Company, a use permit to expand the existing fuel operation facility for a 7-Eleven at 700 Mount Vernon Avenue, UP 1509, first reading vote 6-0, approved. Vision Principle, a robust economy for working men and women. Electronic roll call, and I have Jean Munn representing the applicant if you have questions.
Okay.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically.
Very good.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Very good.
City Manager's Report 15-343, adoption of an ordinance to appropriate $408,936 in the FY 2015-16 General Fund operating budget from the FY 2015-16 General Fund unassigned fund balance to provide funding for body camera data storage, the city manager contract, and the repayment of a port performance grant to the Commonwealth of Virginia in an amount equal to funds previously paid by APM terminals to the city for that purpose. Vision Principle, efficient responsive government. Electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers.
Okay. Mr. Moody?
Thank you, Mayor. On the, I guess, the $250,000 that we're going to return to the state, which was state money, that happened so long ago. Perhaps a member of staff could refresh our memories on what that grant was and what APM had to do to, I guess, claim that money, reference performance, and also, obviously, the APM returned theirs in 2012, and perhaps they can share why it's taken so long for us to do likewise.
Okay. Dr. Patton?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And Mr. Moody, I will address this issue so that the public will know. The city received a port performance grant in 2012. And in 2008, the city and the APM terminals, I said 2012, it's actually 2008, received $500,000 from the Governor's Opportunity Fund. It was in 2012, APM notified that according to the guidelines and the time frame of the grant, the work that was to be completed by APM terminals did not meet the time frame. Therefore, the request in the requirements for the grant were called to our attention, and the $250,000 portion was to be returned to the state. With the change in the economic directors and it coming to our past economic director attention, immediately our finance officer brought it to my attention upon coming, and we are rectifying it by asking council to approve the $250 in the transfer at this meeting.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Patton.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. We have we have no speakers on this item.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. 15-344, adoption of an ordinance appropriating $42,179,179 by classification to implement the operating budget for the Portsmouth Public Schools for the second quarter of fiscal year 2015-16. Vision principle, efficient responsive government, electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. 15-345, adoption of an ordinance accepting a supportive housing program grant in the amount of $69,013 from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and appropriating said funds in the FY 2015-16 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Behavioral Healthcare Services to provide assistance to eligible chronically homeless behavioral residents, Portsmouth residents. Vision principle, neighborhoods and sense of community, quality of life, and lifelong learning community. Electronic roll call, and I have a registered speaker, Ms. Donna Sy.
Good evening. My name is Donna Sy, and I live in the Woodbine Farms neighborhood. As one of the good people of Portsmouth, I do not give my consent to the adoption of 15-345. We the people have a right to petition the government for a remedy of the burden placed on us by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD is using our tax money, $69,000, and asking Portsmouth to appropriate it to the Department of Behavioral Health Care Services. The department is to provide assistance to the eligible chronically homeless in Portsmouth. Reviewing the three vision principles, I haven't heard too much about people being proud of their neighborhood and their city, or of a feeling of belonging. Giving money to the behavioral health department is not helping people to remain safe, and it certainly isn't enriching the quality of life of our citizens. Portsmouth is not a place where many citizens of the region come to enjoy its unique sense of history and security, its cultural attraction, nor its recreational activities. Lastly, people I've talked with don't think that education is the foundation of our social, political, and economic well-being, nor is it a top priority of the city. Many of us living in Portsmouth believe that everyone who receives the protection of society owes a return for the benefits they receive. The fact of living in a society requires us to give up immoral conduct. This conduct consists of not injuring the interest of another and doing what is morally right. Secondly, I don't see them bearing their share of their laborers and sacrifices by defending our city and its citizens from injury and disturbances. They do not sacrifice to give anything back. These offenders may be justly punished by opinions. As soon as any part of a person's conduct obstructs the interest of others, the question whether the general welfare will or will not be promoted by interfering becomes open to discussion. There has been discussions, but no solution. Just handing out the taxpayers' money to those who continue to feed off those who work for a living. Thanks for living. Thanks for...
We get it. Thank you.
Council members, there are no additional speakers.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. 15-346, adoption of a resolution designating the city of Portsmouth as an urban development area and finding that said designation is consistent with the intent of section 15.2-2223.1 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended. Vision principles, neighborhood and sense of community, and robust economy for working men and women. Electronic roll call, and I have a speaker, Ms. Donna Sy.
Good evening. My name is Donna Sy, and I live in the Woodbine Farms neighborhood. Principles of Liberty 14. Life and liberty are secure only so long as the right of property is secure. Resolution 15-346 is consistent with the intent of Section 15.22223.1 of the Code of Virginia to designate the city of Portsmouth as an urban development area. There has been no discussion on this issue of designating the city of Portsmouth as an urban development area. We do not know how our property rights are going to be affected by this resolution. We don't know what department is going to have an exclusive authority to determine how any land or resource is to be used. We won't know whether the land or resource will be owned by the government or by an individual. As you know, the government administers forced and social exclusion by agents who will determine the use. The government established their own rules to operate under. An individual may determine the use and services of his private property. A private property right includes the right to delegate, rent, or sell any portion of the rights by exchange or gift at whatever price the owner determines. There has been no discussion with me about this resolution by anyone who was elected to City Council. Therefore, I have not been represented on this issue. I do not give my consent for this resolution to be passed. There has been no education on this decree nor any representation. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Dr. Whitaker.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Can the city manager or staff elaborate on the urban development area designation and what benefits that will bring to the city or incentives?
Dr. Patton.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a little background. As a part of an ongoing effort to promote economic development and promote the coordination between transportation and land use planning, this procedure or process through the Virginia General Assembly has continued to support programs and policies within the transportation agencies and that which promotes UDAs, which stands for the Urban Development Area, which is defined in the Virginia Code as the city clerk indicated. These areas are designated by a locality, which would be the city of Portsmouth, in order to have appropriate for higher density development due to its proximity to transportation facilities, the availability of the public or community water and sewer systems, or the development areas and the extended feasibility to be used for redevelopment or infill development.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Patton.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. We have no additional speakers on this item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you're voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. New business 15-347, boards and commissions. Councilman Edmonds.
Thank you. I offer for your consideration and move the adoption of the following appointments to boards and commissions and reappointments. Starting with the reappointments, Community Criminal Justice, reappointment Brenda Spry. Economic Development Authority, Lisa Lucas. Library Board, Lois Radford and Brian Schaffer. Museum and Fine Arts Commission, Karen Burgess, Gordon Jones, and Donna Rogers. Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission, Guy Wallace. Boards and commissions, Americans with Disabilities Commission, Willie Bramberg. Behavior Healthcare Service Advisory Board, Denise Key and Sandra Watkins. Library Board, Lynn Laws, and Valerie Wright. Museum and Fine Arts Commission, Regina Goodwin. SIPSA, Erin Tremere. I think I left out Museum and Fine Arts. Regina Goodwin, and was one at the top. Robert, that's the one I told y'all not. Robert Wilbur.
Very
Okay.
good, sir.
And Wetlands Board, Donald Smith. Call it? That's it.
Move for adoption.
One second. Dr. Evans.
Yes, okay. One of the jails, regional jail, huh? That you replacing John.
I thought that was a given, so
Yeah, we gotta do this.
Dr. Patton will be appointed to the following boards: Hampton Roads Regional Jail Authority, Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, Transportation District Commission of HR, alternate, Newport Development Authority, Community Policy and Management.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically.
Thanks, man. I was telling y'all not.
These items are adopted 7-0. 15-348, items submitted by council members.
Thank you. Let me just say we're pleased to have this week in the city of Portsmouth, the Commissioner of Revenue from all over the Commonwealth are here for a conference. I was able to welcome them here yesterday morning. I've got some very positive feedback from a lot of the commissioner and their staff. We had an event over at Portside. We call it Rockin' the Docks Forum with Bill Deal and the Rondells. And last night, I think they went to the Children's Museum and had a real nice social there. So we want to welcome them. We've been pleased over the last year and a half to have most of our elected officials or appointed officials throughout the Commonwealth to have conferences here. Our clerk here, she had the clerk here, that was a year and a half ago, and then our clerk for the courts, Ms. Cynthia Morrison, had that group here, and that was a very large group, as well as our treasurer, Jimmy Williams, had those folks here. So we enjoy showing off our city and allowing them to peruse downtown and look at all of the things that we have to offer. I often go and visit just to get feedback and get comments on what people like and don't like, and it really does your heart well, some of the positive things you hear from a lot of these people who are all over our Commonwealth. That's in small towns and cities up to large cities, and to see the things that we have to offer here. And I believe the Commissioner of Revenue has about 280 people here this week for their conference. So again, I want to welcome and thank all of them here. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And indeed, we had the Virginia Sheriff's Association here this past year, too, which was kind of fun to see. I bring you tonight an idea. As you all know, I often like to support particularly young and strong women in our community. And we have a woman that has brought national notoriety to this community in the name of Cynthia Brown, who is a female, obviously a female football player for Wilson High School. And she
What
is
high school was that again?
Wilson High School.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to suggest to my colleagues that we pass a resolution at the next meeting in honor of Ms. Brown's accomplishments, and perhaps invite the Wilson football team to to come and have a little cheer with us. I think they brought us great notoriety for a change.
That's very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Dr. Whitaker.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, unless there's objection from council, would like to direct you to meet with the city attorney as well as any other staff so that we can move forward on getting the minority contract and draft, the minority and women business enterprise draft in place and the contract in place to get that done so that we can have that draft presented to council so we can act on it.
Okay, all right, very good. I've actually met with the manager this week, and we're in process, but I'll take that action on and make sure it's done by our next meeting. Thank you, Dr. Whitaker.
Also,
no objections from member councils. All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
Also, in keeping with that, I was privileged to attend the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority meeting. Bishop Edmonds, our liaison, was also there. And I was pleased to see that after 74 years, the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority has decided to be more inclusive in its contracting of legal services. And that contract for legal services had been for 74 years Cooper, Spong, and Davis. But last week, the contract was awarded to the law firm of Eric O. Moody. And I think that's a significant step in the right direction for our city.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Mr. Cherry.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'm surprised you didn't mention this one. Probably remiss if I didn't. On Saturday, on Saturday, the mayor and I, along with Councilman Edmonds, attended the gala celebrating the 150th anniversary of the historic Zion Baptist Church in downtown Portsmouth. As some of you remember, on December 20th, 2007, that church burned to the ground, all except for the steeple. But yet they've risen. And on this past Saturday, culminated the celebration of the 150 years of existence. In 1865, 318 former slaves left the Court Street Baptist Church to start the Zion Baptist Church. And Mayor and I got to attend a celebration of the three churches, four churches earlier this year that were held at Court Street. But this past Saturday was a fantastic event with lots of people in attendance to culminate that 150-year celebration. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, thank you. And let me just add, it was well done by your church, Mr. Cherry, and the guest that they had to come and speak was Pastor Dwight Riddick from over on the peninsula. He did an outstanding job. We were also pleased to have Dr. Wilbur Kersey, the pastor at Court Street Baptist, to come and speak on the history of those churches and how this thing all came about. So it was well done, and thank you. I'm sorry for not mentioning that. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. We were talking about Wilson High School football team. And
what was that school again?
And Wilson, also known as the Wilson High School Presidents, Mayor. Anyway, they received another honor. Their band has been invited to appear at the Gator Bowl, which occurs January the 2nd, I believe, also known as the Tax Slayer Bowl. And being invited to that, that's the good news. The bad news is they have to raise a lot of money to go there. They're looking at almost $33,000 to attend. I think thus far they've raised less than $7,000, so they need community support. They got a couple of things going on at the Norcom Wilson football game. I know they're going to have some raffles. Then coming up, I think September the 27th at O'Reilly's auto parts store on Victory Boulevard, I believe they're going to have a car wash there. But citizens can contribute by going to www.gofundme.com/WWHS-BAN, or simply mailing a check to the Woodrow Wilson Band Boosters Association at 1401 Elmhurst Lane, 23701. I know they would appreciate any amount that you could send to help the kids represent Portsmouth at the Gator Bowl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that Wilson High School band is doing well. I just can't help but think it's the spirit of Manor High School band that is assisting them.
Hey, Mayor.
Very good.
Manor didn't get good till Craddock went there.
Until Craddock went there, right. All right, we're going to close this portion out. I do want to also congratulate Hodges Manor Elementary School. Yesterday, myself, the superintendent, as well as the school board chair and a couple other members of the school board, we were there to cut the ribbon on a new playground. And the significance of that is that the playground was purchased through a collaboration with the community, the PTA, the school, and a whole lot of community partners that contributed to make this thing possible. And I was allowed to speak and was very pleased and talked about that whole collaborative process and how these types of things can happen in our communities when we all decide to work together. And there was a young kid there, a student, I think he's in the 5th grade, named Noah Howell. It was Noah's idea. Noah had wrote to the principal, and I think he addressed the school board sometimes this year about this playground, and then Noah had a notion to write a letter to President Obama asking for this playground. And so that young man was brought up, and we applauded him, and I congratulated him and shared with him that he had truly a bright future in this city if he has those type of initiatives and want to see those type of things to come to pass. So there's a new playground over at Hodges Manor Elementary. The kids broke it in yesterday after I got out of the way. So again, thanks. And again, you need to go by and see that. But the significance there, besides the little kid that initiated it, was the community coming together and all of the partners contributing to make that possible. And the principal there, Dr. Faye Felton, and all of her staff, they just do a wonderful job. And it's stories and things like that that make you feel proud of us as a people here and citizens of Portsmouth. All right, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, you know Noah's a member of Zion Baptist Church, too.
He's a member of Zion Baptist Church.
15-349, report on pending items. The report is available. It was available with your agenda package that was online. Also, for those that are in the audience or with the public, they may acquire a copy from the table that's outside the council chamber, or they may contact our citizens advocate, Ms. Bernadette Hogg. 15-350, non-agenda speakers. Our first speaker is Mr. Joe Wright.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
No. Yes, sir.
I just
Dr.
had a
Wood.
question. Is that going to be our new procedure? Because typically we have that read so that citizens can hear that there was follow-up.
There was follow-up on that piece. Dr. Patton, if you would, Mr. Wright, if you give us 1 second, you can stand right there.
Just reset
and,
my clock.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll reset it. Dr. Patton, please.
We, Dr. Whitaker, the process that we are experimenting right now is actually the use of the word citizen advocacy instead of citizen concerns, because when we look at the research on the engagement of citizens, every citizen's coming forward to us may have ideas or inferences that they would like to see the city engage in. So that's a term that we are adopting. And then the report, which we're providing to you, which you didn't have in writing in advance, is now going to be in the document with your agenda that comes. And for right now, we're going to issue it to the citizens and have it online so they'll have a copy. So that's what we're going to follow right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Wright, and remember, the Pope is here, and we're on our best behavior. And with that, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Simmons, council members, Dr. Patton, and all others assembled. My name is Joseph R. Wright. I live in 1451 Welcome Road in the Cavalier Manor section of Portsmouth. I am not now and have never been a member of the Tea Party. The rumors are out on me again. If my message to you, the council, is true, then discount the messenger. That's an old ploy. that one past council member tried to use and discredit me in the past. It didn't work then, and it won't work now, Councilman. Mr. Mayor, you've been to my church several times and heard my mayor chorus sing, "I'll go if I have to go by myself." But I am before this council tonight because I have hope, despite the bad press that you mainly brought upon yourselves with the name calling and the secrecy. Councilman, the citizens of Portsmouth don't mind 4-3 votes. But do they all have to be racial lines all the time? We've been through that before also. The rank and file city employees here in Portsmouth are hardworking and loyal, in my opinion, and Dr. Patton will employ capable leadership to head the various departments. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Let me just say, I've known you a while, sir. I've never known you to be associated with anybody but good people and wanting good government, and I appreciate your participation, and you're here not only at council meetings, but in our courts and in civic leagues and all of the things that you do. It troubles me when I hear those types of things coming from a outstanding individual like yourself. We don't always agree. We've got the same last name. That's probably good for both of us. But thank you for what you do in your service in our city and for our country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good night.
Thank you.
Ms. Betty Ashbury.
Betty Ashbury, Churchland section of Portsmouth. You know, I want so badly to say something positive when I attend these meetings. But after the citizens meeting last week, I saw how many discontented citizens there are that are so dissatisfied the way this council is conducting business. Did you listen? Do you care? After my little talk, I sat back and I just sat and observed council's demeanor. One constantly was fiddling with the phone. One had sat with a smirky smile on the face. One looked very bored, and the other tried to justify the closed, sneaky sessions for which you spring motions on the citizens at the last minute. You know, you have a group of citizens sitting over here, and I refer to that group of citizens as the elders, because most all of us sitting over there are 80 plus. We got a couple of youngsters that are just knocking on the door, but they don't rightly have the right to call themselves octogenarians, not quite yet. We get up and speak, as Joe just did, and we try to bring things to you that we think that maybe you should listen to us. I'm not sure that you always do, but in some cultures, you know, the elders are kind of gone to and ask for directions in some things, and it might not be a bad time for y'all to listen to us once in a while. Some of the elders speak more frequently than others, but one of them was accused one time of just grandstanding and just wanting to be seen on TV. Well, I don't give a hoot and a holler about being seen on TV. You know, all knowledge doesn't come from books. It comes from years of experience, both good and bad. The good you cherish, the bad you go back and correct if you can, and if you can't, you move on. At all the ages of the people that I was just speaking about just a minute ago, you got over 500 years. That's an awful lot of good and bad experiences. Mayor, got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
We stood in the parking lot at Norcom the other night after the citizen meeting, sparring back and forth, but you were doing most of the talking. But I can't quote you verbatim, but you kind of indicated that we could make it a little difficult for Dr. Patton to do a job. Now, I want to know exactly who we are and how we can make it difficult for Dr. Patton to do a job. And I stand by my statement that, as I can remember Dr. Patton on her time with the city before, that she was a strong, capable woman that might be able to lead the city out of the dark back into the light if this council will leave her alone to do so. But I sincerely doubt that's going to happen.
Thank you, Ms. Asbury. And just for the record, we have, and you can come back up, I welcome your response. We have a great deal of respect for our seniors and all of you that have contributed to this city, and you have valuable insights and knowledge, good and bad, like you said. And I personally enjoy those conversations, whether it's taken out of context or you misinterpret what I say, but I spend a great deal of time talking to our seniors because it does a lot for me. And you pointed to that group over there. Not only that group, there's a great deal of our seniors throughout our city that spend quite a bit of time talking about the Portsmouth they knew then and now, and the good and the bad. And I take pleasure with that. I actually do lunch about once a month at some senior's home just to get their perspective of what they see going on here. And so thank you for your comments. You may have taken what I said about our capable manager out of perspective, but we won't battle on that. But I enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to more of it.
I'm
Okay?
saving up my quotes for later because I got a good one for you, Council.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Good night. And the Pope is in town that I mentioned. Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Barry Randall.
Barry Randall, Brighton section of Portsmouth. Good evening. Mr. Mayor, I want to apologize to you for the last time that I was here and that I did not sit down when you asked me to.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Hello, my name is Walter Brown III. I was killed by Portsmouth police officer Lieutenant Todd Thursby on March 24th, 2015. I am victim number 3. I am in heaven with victims 1 and 2, Demetrius Eden and Darren Wilson. I can no longer spend time with my family. I just recently missed seeing my kids off to school for the first day, and I will never witness in the physical the stars my kids will grow up to be. I would still be alive if the city of Portsmouth would have done their due diligence and implemented better processes for officers involved in police shootings, or if the officer would have been terminated. Hello, my name is William Chapman II. I was murdered by Portsmouth police officer Stephen Rankin on April 22nd, 2015. I am victim number 2. I am in heaven with victim number 1, Kirill Dyakin. The officer who fatally killed me made it known through social media posts and to coworkers that he was a racist and didn't care for people of color. The officer who shot and killed me was recently released on a $75,000 bond. He can go home to his family. I no longer can. If these signs and posts were not overlooked and the officer would have been fired the first time, I would still be alive. Hello, my name is John Doe. I am black and between the ages of 18 and 25. I am the next face on a rest in peace or rest in heaven t-shirt. There is a bullet being loaded into a gun with my name on it. I will be killed sometime this month, if not tonight, because the Portsmouth Police Department does not value black lives. They choose to focus on minor traffic violations than the murders that is happening in our city. I asked the newly appointed city manager, Dr. Patton, will the corruptness of the Portsmouth Police Department be investigated? Will citizens' complaints against Portsmouth Police Department be taken serious or be exonerated? Will the Portsmouth Police Department be more diverse? Will there be consequences for officers who are involved in citizen shootings, who harass citizens, and those that patrol and sit in neighborhoods that they're not assigned to? Dr. Patton, on behalf of the citizens of Portsmouth, we are looking forward to a police chief that will clean up the house that we currently have of police officers. Mr. Mayor, I wouldn't be myself if I did not keep it 100 with you, as the young people say.
Okay.
But I don't understand why you did not be honest with Mr. Wright when he came up here. Mm-hmm. The friends that you said that he keep good company of, those are the people that want you out of office. Mm-hmm. That man is bought and paid for by the Tea Party. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Randall.
Mr. J. Moore.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, my name is Jay Moore. I'm a native of Portsmouth, and my wife and I live in Sterling Point. I'd like to take you back briefly and quickly to September 14th at IC Norcom High School. My voice was part of the loud chorus of your constituents that night. We pleaded for more access to your government. We decried shorter public comment periods at city council meetings. We advised against fining your fellow council members for sharing with us public business done in private. We said you have broken the sacred bond of trust between your government and us, the residents. The culture of secrecy, Mr. Mayor, and fear is so pervasive in your administration that the police chief recently refused to continue to speak to an open civic league meeting when a TV news reporter showed up, and he carries a gun. What is he afraid of? Since that meeting barely a week ago, more letters from residents have appeared in the newspaper, all with the same theme: please open your government. This is not, Mr. Mayor, as you suggested, the Virginian pilot taking a stand against you. These, sir, are your constituents, and we are saying as clearly and as respectfully as we know that we disapprove of how you govern us. Let me put this in context of open government into some historical context. President Woodrow Wilson, for whom a high school is named in Portsmouth, and I believe you might have attended it, sir, said government ought to be all outside and no inside. President Abraham Lincoln, who held our young nation together against the Civil War, said, let the people know the facts and the country will be safe. Change isn't easy, Mr. Mayor, so I've brought you and the city council members an open government toolkit that I'd like to present you, if I may, tonight. It contains a golden doorstop to remind you of the golden rule of open government. Mr. Mayor, sometimes great truths can be reduced to simple symbols, such as the case tonight. Mr. Mayor, the golden rule, open government is the best government. If I may approach, I'd like to present.
To the Sergeant at Arms, if you would, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir,
So-
Dr. Woody.
Are you, Mr. Moore, are you a lifetime resident of Portsmouth?
No, sir. I am now what's known as a snowbird. I spend my winters in Florida, but I was born here. I graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School, as did my sister, and I chased jobs around the eastern United States for a good portion of my life, so I've lived in a lot of other places.
Because I thought at the IC Norcom meeting there, the community meeting, that I thought I heard you mention you helped to author the Freedom of Information Act in Virginia.
My first career was television news, Councilman, and I worked in this market for Channel 3, what was then WTAR, now TKR, and I was active in helping the General Assembly, a committee of the General Assembly, rewrite Virginia's Freedom of Information Act.
Right. Because I was surprised to hear you refer to legally closed meetings that fall within the Virginia state law as being secretive. And that was sort of contradictory considering your experience with the FOIA. And so I was just curious if you were a lifetime resident, because the plaque that you just presented, I was just curious why that hadn't been presented to previous councils that had exercised closed meeting laws.
Well, Councilman, you've provided me an opportunity.
But since you weren't a lifetime resident, I can understand.
Well, you've provided me an opportunity. In my career, which has mostly been public relations, I've managed communications for 3 city governments, the city of Norfolk, Virginia, and 2 in Florida. I was a public information officer for the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I worked for the state of Texas at the University of Texas in Galveston, Texas. I provided communications and public relations counsel to Dow Chemical, Glaxo Wellcome, Texaco, the Bank of Montreal, and the American College of Physicians, among other international and national clients. I'm quite satisfied that my credentials to speak to you on the matter of public meetings and how governments should be run, and as well as reputation management, are sufficient.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Lakeisha Atkinson.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Hello, my name is Walter Brown III. I was killed by Portsmouth Police Officer Lieutenant Todd Thursby on March 24th, 2015. I am victim number 3. I am in heaven with victims 1 and 2, Demetrius Edens and Darren Wilson. I can no longer spend time with my family. I just recently missed seeing my kids off to school for the first day, and I will never witness in the physical how great or the stars my kids will grow up to be. I would still be alive if the city of Portsmouth would have done due diligence and implemented better processes for officers involved in police shootings, or if the officer would have been terminated. Hello, my name is William Chapman II. I was murdered by Portsmouth Police Officer Stephen Rankin on April 22nd, 2015. I am victim number 2. I am in heaven with victim number 1, Kirill Denyankin. The officer who fatally killed me made it known through social media posts and to coworkers that he was a racist and didn't care for people of color. The officer who shot and killed me was recently released on a $75,000 bond, which equates to 10%, $7,500, which was raised by his fellow coworkers in the Portsmouth Police Department. He can go home to his family. I no longer can. If these signs and posts were not overlooked and the officer would have been fired the first time, I would still be alive. Hello, my name is John Doe. I am Black and between the ages of 18 to 25. I am the next face on an RIP or RIH shirt. There is a bullet being loaded into a gun with my name on it. I will be killed sometime this month, if not tonight, because the Portsmouth Police Department does not value Black lives. They choose to focus on minor traffic violations than the murders that's happening in the city. I asked the newly appointed city manager, Dr. Lydia Patton, will the corruptness of the Portsmouth Police Department be investigated? Will citizen complaints against Portsmouth Police Department be taken serious, or will complaints be exonerated? Will the Portsmouth Police Department be more diverse? Will there be a Black chief? Will there be consequences for officers who are involved in citizen shootings, who harass citizens, and those that patrol and sit in neighborhoods that they are not assigned to, i.e. Southside Gardens? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Amir Bethia. Amira.
Good evening. My name is Amira Bethia. Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Hello, my name is Walter Brown III. I was killed by Portsmouth Police Officer Lieutenant Todd Thursby on March 24th, 2015. I am victim number 3. I'm in heaven with victim 1 and 2, Demetrius Edens and Darren Wilson. I can no longer spend time with my family. I just recently missed seeing my kids off the school for the first day, and I would never witness in the physical the stars my kids will grow up to be. I would still be alive if the city of Portsmouth would have done due diligence and implemented better processes for officers involved in police shootings, or if the officer would have been fired. Hello, my name is William Chapman II. I was murdered by Portsmouth Police Officer Stephen Rankin on April 22nd, 2015. I am victim number 2. I am in heaven with victim number 1, Kirill Denyankin. The officer who fatally killed me made it known through social media posts and to coworkers that he was racist and didn't care for people of color. The officer who shot and killed me was recently released on a $75,000 bond. He can go home to his family. I no longer can. If these signs and posts were not overlooked, an officer would have been fired the first time. I would still be alive. Hello, my name is John Doe. I'm Black and between the ages of 18 and 25. I'm the next face on a Rest in Peace or Rest in Heaven t-shirt. There's a bullet being loaded into a gun with my name on it. It could be as we speak. I will be killed sometime this month, if not tonight, because the Portsmouth Police Department does not value Black lives. They choose to focus on minor traffic violations and the murders that happen in the city. I asked the newly appointed city manager, Dr. Lydia Patton, will the corruptness of the Portsmouth Police Department be investigated? Will citizen complaints against Portsmouth Police Department be taken serious? Or will the complaints just be thrown away as usual? Will the Portsmouth Police Department be more diverse? Will there be consequences for officers who are involved in citizen shootings, who harass citizens, and those that patrol and sit in neighborhoods that are not assigned to? and I'm a mother of 2 black boys. So this really concerns me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Gary Gooden Jr.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Gary Gooden Jr. I am the CEO of Righteous Kids. I just want to say that if the crime in Portsmouth doesn't stop, my mom will be planning my funeral instead of my graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, young man.
Ms. Shelley Fons.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First off, I want to say thank you to all the citizens that came out for the Serve the City. When we picked up trash over on Turnpike, I've got Reverend Lenora Berry with me tonight. We're filling in for Robert Earls. He's the spokesperson for the Serve the City, and Serve the City is just exactly what it says. We're serving the city. We're trying to do our part to help our community. But the Waste Management Department was wonderful. They came. We had a really good turnout of a cross-section of people all across Portsmouth. And I just want to thank the city people, residents that came out to do that, and Waste Management. They did a great job. We have something coming up this coming Saturday, and I wanted to invite all of you and everybody in this room, people across Portsmouth. In 2003, Congress passed a resolution declaring September 28th, it's usually the 4th Saturday of the month, National Good Neighbor Day. And we are going to celebrate as a city, and we would like to invite everybody across the city to come out Saturday. We're going to meet at City Park, and we're going to be under the amphitheater there. We've invited many churches across the area. Some business people are coming together. Everything's going to be free. We're going to have little goodies. In fact, I brought each of y'all a little sample of our goodies, and we just want to show love across the city. I still believe that love conquers all, and that
Amen.
Through that we can accomplish great things across the city. I know it's naive, possibly, but Jesus said we're to love our neighbors as ourselves, and that's what we want to do this coming Saturday. One other thing that we will be doing, and it's just I know y'all have been watching the news and seen all this sadness in the Syrian refugees. What we thought we would do, the Syrian refugees are our neighbors as well. It's not just us here in Portsmouth. And I was touched especially by the little boy who, I don't know if y'all saw it, who washed up on shore, 3 years old. To me, he looked like a little doll. He had his little shoes and all. It was just very sad. What can we do here in Portsmouth? We're going to have a little box there over at Serve the City when we do our little event on Saturday, and I found an organization online that is collecting toothbrushes, Band-Aids, personal hygiene items. If anybody comes that Saturday, just a small little thing we can do, you don't have to come, we just want people to come, but if anybody wants to bring something that we can put together, the items will be packaged, we have shipping labels, we're going to send them to Maryland, and from Maryland, they will go to the people that need them, wherever that might be. So that's just a side thing that we can do as we come together. We're going to have music, and we're just going to have fun. So I would encourage any of you, if you're free to come, please do join us Saturday. And Lenore may have a word to say. And these are for y'all.
Let me just, Ms. Fons, thank both of you for coming up and speaking, and the great work you're doing with Serve the City. And
It's 10 to 2.
That's what I wanted to ask. 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock Saturday at the City Park, and we're going to be in the pavilion area, correct? All right, thank you very much. Madam Clerk. Oh, Mr. Moody, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to comment on Ms. Fons, and you don't have to come back. One of your members called me this week and imparted what I thought was a great idea, and I was getting ready to not mention it, but I think it is worthy of mention. And that's her idea was to light up Portsmouth. And she made me aware, obviously, the days get shorter this time of the year. And she also mentioned the number of street lights that we have out around the city. And the city pays for those lights whether they are working or not. So she had an idea that each community would record the poll numbers and communicate that to Dominion Power, and let's get the city lit up as we go into the wintertime. And obviously that has a tie-in to crime as well, and also a feeling of well-being when you're downtown or out in your community walking. But just wanted to share that. And Mayor, perhaps that's something we can support them on getting the word out on that initiative.
Okay.
There's concurrence for that.
Thanks, Ms. Moody. All right, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Steve Carroll.
Good evening. I'm quoting from the pilot dated 9/17/2015 of the city clerk's comments regarding reduction of speaking time. If you don't see it in the minutes, then as far as I know, it's not in public, end quote. According to the pilot, there is no record of time limits discussed in the unofficial or official minutes. Quite unlike our school board and council, Mrs. White's reputation for following the rules and the law is impeccable. Regarding denials from Councilman Cherry that the time reduction was not discussed in closed session, Councilman Moody said in so many words, that's not quite factual. It was discussed in closed session. He, Moody, would take a polygraph to that effect. Do it, because I have some questions of council as well. Councilman Edmonds, you used the words, it's an integrity thing. Honesty. You claim the newspaper grossly embellished the facts. Well, did they lie or not? Mayor, regarding some promises allegedly made by past city manager about maintaining some granite curbs, use the words documents to back up what we are doing. It's how we operate. You've made a lot in the past about process. Interesting. What process was being followed while the school board was playing monopoly with our precious tax dollars and the truth? Even after council was thoroughly scourged by the grand jury report of February 2013 and the city manager, John Rowe's detailed follow-up report of February of 2014 about the continued dishonest fiscal conduct of the school board. The hypocrisy is disgusting. And I'm done with my comments on that. I want to say one more time, I'm appalled that you, Mayor, would allow someone to be accused of murder without due process. Once again, I'm appalled. And I know that you can take this as a formal protest to the city attorney that you would do so. There's a fine line sometimes between freedom of speech and abuse of speech, but to make baseless, inflammatory statements like that against someone who has not had the opportunity of due process is unacceptable and unbelievable.
Good night. Mr. Cherry?
Hey, Mayor, thank you, Mayor. I just want to clear up something. I never spoke at the meeting about the time limits. I did speak about the monument, so let's be factual when we come speak as well. I didn't say a word about the time limits at that meeting. Thank you.
I'm clear.
Ms. Lenore Berry. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Reverend, thank you very much, and welcome.
Ms. Edrica Oliver.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, Dr. Hyde. My name is Adrika Oliver. I'm from the, I guess you would call it Brighton. The elders call it the Piedmont Heights section of Portsmouth.
Okay.
Hello. My name is Walter Brown III. I was killed by Portsmouth Police Officer Lieutenant Todd Thursby on March 24th, 2015. I am victim number 3. I am in heaven with victims number 1 and 2, Demetrius Edens and Darren Wilson. I can no longer spend time with my family. I just recently missed seeing my kids off to school for the first day and will never witness the physical stars my kids will grow up to be. I would still be alive if the city of Portsmouth would have done due diligence and implemented better processes for officers involved in police shootings, or if the officer would have been fired. Hello, my name is William Chapman II. I was murdered by police officer Stephen Rankin on April 22nd, 2015. I am victim number 2. I am in heaven with victim number 1, Kirill Danikin. The officer who fatally killed me made it known through social media posts and to co-workers that he was a racist and did not care for people of color. The officer who shot and killed me was recently released on a $75,000 bond. He can go home to his family. I no longer can. If these signs and posts were not overlooked and the officer would have been fired the first time, I would still be alive. Hello, my name is John or Jane Doe. I'm a black child between the ages of 16 and 25. I am the next face on a Rest in Peace t-shirt or a Rest in Heaven t-shirt. There's a bullet being loaded into a gun right now with my name on it. I will be killed sometime this month, if not tonight, because Portsmouth Police Department does not value black lives. They choose to focus on minor traffic violations rather than the murders that are happening right here in our city. We ask the newly appointed city manager, Dr. Lydia Patton, will the corruptness of the Portsmouth Police Department be investigated? Will the citizens' complaints against Portsmouth Police Department be taken serious, or will complaints be exonerated? Will the Portsmouth Police Department be more diverse? Will there be consequences for officers who are involved in citizen shootings and who harass citizens and those that patrol and sit in neighborhoods that they are not assigned to? Right now, I'm seeing a repeat of 1995 when the front page was Portsmouth Bloodiest Year. 33 people were killed in our city that year. A lot of those were my friends or friends of my friends. Now I'm watching my friends bury their children every other week. Something has to be done about the crime in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owen.
Mr. Mark Godoldik-Yatrovsky.
I did not know that I was going to be preceded by a group of people speaking in concert, but it was a very moving experience, and it should be food for thought for every conscientious individual. I came tonight to respond to an opinion piece by the editorial board of the Virginian Pilot, published the Sunday before last. It's called The Failure of Leadership in Portsmouth. And I want to say that the real failure is the failure of the press in Portsmouth, because the Olympians who inhabit the clouds on Brambleton Avenue at 150 really don't get it about Portsmouth on so many levels. Their opinions are shaped by people from our community who have their ear and by what they read in the papers. Well, I've been the victim of what I read in the papers, and I inaccurately accused you of something you didn't do because I put too much faith in what a journalist had written. And if you think it's hard to fight City Hall, try fighting a newspaper. I have written letters to the editor over the 40-some years that I've lived here, and they have either not appeared in print or they have been edited so badly that the main idea didn't even come through as I had expressed it. And I am not an inarticulate person. They allow to see the light of day what they want to see the light of day. And so you can't argue with them in the media. You can't argue with them in their paper because you are gagged. Worse than any council member is gagged by the recently enacted rule. And I believe council has a reasonable expectation that what you say in closed session remains confidential. A friend of mine who used to be on the Economic Development Authority told me that they were all required to sign confidentiality agreements when they joined that body. I don't see why council should be any different. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me just share that rarely do I comment on a lot of those, but I've been very disappointed in that newspaper and a lot of the comments and articles that they've written. I read that article. I was disappointed because I'm a huge fan of freedom of the press, and we've got a very good example here, Miss Atake Jordan, who has, in my view, done an outstanding job and had an excellent career here in the city of Portsmouth. I haven't always agreed with the comments and some of the articles that she has written, but she's always been fair in my view and has tried to do the research prior to making comments. And these last 5 or 6 years since I've been mayor of this city, I have never seen such a horrible job of journalism, not only with this paper, and I've contended that we must be the training ground because everyone they send is worse than the last one. And these articles, these writing these things, playing, I don't know, I guess it's tabloids or just, I think I referred to it one time as yellow journalism, doing things for purpose of sensationalism, and I think it's an irresponsible gesture on their part, misinforming the public. We're a target. We always have been. We tend to have people that normally feed into those things. We've got groups here, just like the group that's here tonight, and we're at the community meeting the other night that staged these types of things, called the media. They're all here because they're looking for something negative. I get it, but I'm just as disappointed. If you want to share something behind those comments I made, I'll certainly allow you to do it, sir. If not, good night.
All I can say is the problem with canceling my subscription to the paper is I can only do it once.
Good night. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sergio Neal.
Good evening, Mayor and city and members of council. Hello, my name is Walter Brown III. I was killed by Portsmouth Police Officer Lieutenant Todd Thursby on March 24, 2015. I am victim number 3. I am in heaven with victims 1 and 2, Demetrius Edens and Darren Wilson. I can no longer spend time with my family. I just recently missed seeing my kids off to school for the first time. I will never witness the stars my kids will grow up to be. I will still be alive if the city of Portsmouth would have done due diligence and implemented better processes for officers involved in police shootings, or if the officer would have been fired. Hello, my name is William Chapman II. I was murdered by Portsmouth Police Officer Stephen Rankin on April 22nd, 2015. I am victim number 2. I am in heaven with victim number 1, Korea Danikin. The officer who fatally killed me made it known through social media posts and to coworkers that he was a racist and did not care for people of color. The officer who shot and killed me was recently released on a $75,000 bond. He can go home to his family. I no longer can. If these signs and posts were not overlooked, and the officer would have been fired the first time, I would still be alive. Hello, my name is John Doe. I am black and between the ages of 18 and 25. I am the next face on a RIP or RIH t-shirt. There is a bullet being loaded into a gun with my name on it. I will be killed sometime this month, if not tonight, because the Portsmouth Police Department does not value black lives. They choose to focus on minor traffic violations than the murders that are happening in the city. I asked the newly appointed city manager, Dr. Lydia Patton, will the corruptness of the Portsmouth Police Department be investigated? Will citizen complaints against Portsmouth Police Department be taken serious, or will the complaints be exonerated? Will the Portsmouth Police Department be more diverse? Will there be more consequences for officers who are involved in the citizen shootings, harass citizens, and those that patrol the city neighborhoods that are not assigned to? I must say this before I conclude my comments. One of the people that sit on my executive board with the Circle of Youth, his brother was Mr. Brown that was killed by Portsmouth Police Department. Having conversation with him and noticing the emotional toll that it takes on him to even come to these city council meetings is unreal. I asked each member of city council to please look into the Portsmouth Police Department and find out what is going on. My grandfather and a lot of my family members live in the city of Portsmouth, and I can guarantee you this: if it takes for me to come from anywhere I'm at to come over here to see what's going on with my family because they're scared to walk the streets of Portsmouth, you can best believe I'm going to be here. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to remind the public and my colleagues that we have a section of rules in this council chamber called decorum and order. And part of Section 5, decorum and order, says that no citizen shall be permitted to make personal accusations or attacks against another citizen. And we've seen that way too much in the last few months. We've certainly seen it tonight against Mr. Wright, against members of this body, which I think we all agree we're sitting ducks for it, and against several on the payroll still in litigation Portsmouth police officers. And I would remind my colleagues and the citizens that we don't make personal attacks in these meetings.
Mr. Moody.
I agree with my colleague. The other factor tonight is that some of these things that are being discussed are active court cases. In the past, our city attorney has always reminded council members that if there's a court case that's active, that we refrain and keep others refraining from implying innocence or a guilt prior to that court case being litigated. That's certainly been violated numerous times tonight, and to agree with what my colleague is saying, those rules are rules that this council has agreed upon, and if we want to change them, we need to publicly do that. I've certainly been a victim, and I can take it. My skin is thick, but some of the things being said is totally outrageous. And really, it doesn't portray our city very well. Suppose executive of a company wanting to relocate his business, staying at the Renaissance, and happens to tune into a council meeting and hears some of this stuff. I wouldn't necessarily want to locate my company to a town described the way our city is described meeting after meeting. I think it would take probably $1 million to undo the negative stuff that occurs in this chamber twice a month. So you're right, Mayor, the Pope is in town, but the Pope doesn't wield the gavel. The presiding officer does. So thank you.
Dr. Whitaker.
Yes, I just want to remind Mr. Moody that the city attorney advises the council. It doesn't advise citizens. Citizens have a right to speak. And also, we need to be careful about our selective ethics.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk.
Our final speaker is Ms. Ashley Stallings. Sterling.
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. Hello, my name is Walter Brown III. I was killed by Portsmouth Police Officer Lieutenant Todd Thursby on March 24, 2015. I am victim number 3. I am in heaven with victims 1 and 2, Demetrius Edens and Darren Wilson. I can no longer spend time with my family. I just recently missed my kids off to school for the first day, and I will never witness in the physical the stars my kids will grow up to be. I would still be alive if the city of Portsmouth would have done due diligence and implemented better processes for officers involved in police shootings, or if the officer would have been fired. Hello, my name is William Chapman II. I was murdered by Portsmouth Police Officer Stephen Rankin on April 22, 2015. I am victim number 2. I am in heaven with victim number 1, Kirill Dankin. The officer who fatally killed me made it known through social media posts and to co-workers that he was a racist and didn't care for people of our color. The officer who shot and killed me was recently released on his $75,000 bond. He can go home to his family. I no longer can. If these signs and posts were not overlooked and the officer would have been fired the first time, I would still be alive. Hello, my name is John Doe. I am black in between the ages of 18 and 25. I am the next face on a Rest in Peace or a Rest in Heaven t-shirt. There's a bullet being loaded into a gun with my name on it. I will be killed sometime this month, if not tonight, because the Portsmouth Police Department does not value black lives. They choose to focus on minor traffic violations than the murders that's happening in the city. We asked the newly appointed city manager, Dr. Lydia Patton, will the corruptness of the Portsmouth Police Department be investigated? Will citizen complaints against Portsmouth Police Department be taken serious, or will complaints be exonerated? Will the Portsmouth Police Department be more diverse? Will there be consequences for officers who are involved in citizen shootings, who harass citizens, and those that patrol and sit in neighborhoods that they are not assigned to? If we do not do something now, it's going to get worse. I have 2 kids here, and I'm scared. I am scared for our future generations. Something has to be done now and not later. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, with that, we're going to adjourn. Good night.